This is update number 9, probably a quick one this time. I'm just going to explain really what's happening next, where I am. So I've had 2 lots of chemotherapy. They are spread 2 weeks apart. So 2 days of continuous chemotherapy and then usually a day of observation, and then sort of 10 days rest or whatever, and the next dose of chemotherapy. And tomorrow, which is Friday the 16th of September, I believe, I'm going to go to a special clinic and have immunotherapy. It's going to be my first time to have immunotherapy. On a previous occasion I went to the clinic and they took out some of my blood, and they've been working on that blood over the past 2 weeks, culturing it, getting the white blood cells, especially the T cells, and preparing those to hopefully attack my cancer. So that's what's happening next, really. There won't really be any news about my cancer for at least another month, because I basically need 4 cycles of chemotherapy spread 2 weeks apart. So that's sort of 8 weeks of chemo, and then I'll have a thing called a CT scan, computed tomography scan. Tomography just means it's in slices, so a bit like an MRI scan. You know, with an MRI scan, they sort of take magnetic images of you every few millimeters and build up almost a 3D model or something like that. CT scan is the same kind of thing, but I believe it uses X-rays. So it's like having loads and loads and loads of X-rays, 3 millimeters apart, and they put all the slices together. And it looks for lumps in the body, basically. So in just over a month's time, after I've had hopefully successfully had the next 2 doses of chemotherapy, there'll be then the scan, which will probably show either the cancer spread to other places, which would obviously be very bad. It can spread to bones, it can spread to the lungs. One place it seems to spread to a lot from the peritoneum, where I've got some cancer, is spreading back into the intestines, especially the small intestine, which is the one that gets the nutrition from your food. So maybe the cancer spread, maybe it hasn't spread but it's growing. So both of those would be kind of bad results. It could be stable, so that would be a good result, really. Would be, they say, well, you know, the scan shows the tumours haven't got bigger. That would be a good result. And in some cases the cancers even get smaller, which would be amazing. Chemotherapy tend not to disappear, even tiny tumours. I think when if the chemotherapy does shrink them, it doesn't so make them vanish or anything like that. The only way to do that is really with surgery, or, and again, this is a very, very, very slim thing, but immunotherapy. Immunotherapy does have the rare ability to actually get rid of a cancer. It's not going to get rid of the cancers, for example, in my liver, because they're big and very big. The biggest tumour in my liver at the moment is 7.5 centimetres. There's one that's 3.5 centimetres, and there's 3 more tumours in the liver. They're not going to vanish or anything like that, but there are some cancers in the lymph nodes, and there are some cancers on the peritoneum, which is this membrane across the abdomen. So those could shrink, and if I can continue, I mean, if they do, let's say, you know, best case scenario, the immunotherapy seems to be working, or the chemotherapy seems to be working there, so those cancers are shrinking a bit, and I'm able to continue immunotherapy, which is not a certainty because it's so expensive, and the money's going to run out at a certain point. But if that, you know, people keep giving money to the cancer fund, which is amazing, especially people who are trying to give a little bit each time they get paid, which is fantastic. If I am able to get a good result from immunotherapy and it kind of keeps going, then one possibility is that those, at least the small cancers in the lymphatic nodes, in those lymph nodes, they could shrink to almost nothing or even disappear. And again, the peritoneum. My peritoneum is probably covered in small cancers that are 1 or 2 millimeters across. That's usually what happens when people have a cancer in the peritoneum. So I had I think an 8 millimeter cancer tumour in the peritoneum, and then another tumour, similar size, just under the peritoneum. It's basically protective fat over your internal organs, and the surgeon was able to remove those two, but he saw a lot of other smaller ones. Now these kind of showed up on the scan as what's called irregular thickening of the peritoneum. They just see these little tiny bumps. A CT scan can only see something about, absolute smallest thing is 7 or 8 millimeters. The PET scan, which is the one that looks for actually cellular activity, how the organs are functioning, how the cancer is growing, that can only see about 1 centimeter resolution. So the only way to really check the peritoneum is open up the body and look inside with a camera, which is a thing called a laparoscopy, I think. So it's a bit like keyhole surgery, but without doing the actual surgery bit, they just look inside. So that's where I am at the moment, basically. Friday I'll be having my first immunotherapy, which I'm really, really looking forward to so much. It may help with the cancer itself, which would be great. It also does tend to boost your immune system. My immune system is very, very weak because chemotherapy makes your immune system very, very weak. And there's also this bit of evidence that immunotherapy can stop or help prevent cancer spreading to other parts of your body, because it seems to attack the cancer stem cells, which are the cells that float around in the body and make new cancers, basically. So I'm really looking forward to that immunotherapy. When I go to the immunotherapy clinic, I always feel so good just meeting the people there. They're incredible. They are relentless, they're ruthless in their fight against cancer, and they are aggressively optimistic, because they've been doing it for a long time, and they've got some, they've got some good results for a small number of people. They don't have good results for a lot of people because a lot of people don't seem to respond for some reason, but for a small number of people they've got good results. For terminal cancer combined with chemotherapy, their result is about 50% of people get some kind of improvement, which is very good. When I go to the immunotherapy clinic, I also have this other treatment that I've had twice so far, hypothermia therapy, which I've mentioned in previous videos, which is where they heat up the inside part of the body, in my case around the abdomen, and that damages the cancer cells, because cancer cells can't repair well from heat. But it also improves the blood supply in the centre of those big tumours, which is exactly the place where chemotherapy can't really get in, because the blood supply is poor and chemotherapy moves through your blood. So when you have an improved blood supply for sort of 24 hours or whatever, or 48 hours or something like that from having the hypothermia treatment, then that means when you then have your chemotherapy, there's more chance that your chemotherapy will get into the centre of the tumour and start damaging the cancers, which is obviously what I'm desperate for, because I have a lot of cancer in my body. Cancers are quite big, need to get them under control. Not going to get them cured, very, 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 very unlikely that there'll be any kind of cure, but it could be put into what's called remission, which is basically you still have cancer, but it's sort of under control, it's not growing. I'm going to just take a couple of minutes now to explain a little bit about life expectancy and how that kind of stuff works for cancer. Just because some people have asked me about it, and also I think a lot of people want to know about it and haven't felt comfortable asking about it because it's a scary thing. I have stage 4 cancer, which means is terminal, which means it can't be cured, at least not with any of the current treatments. When you talk about cancers or cancer staging, you usually talk about a few different numbers. You talk about the median life expectancy, so how long on average the person expects to live. With stage 4 bowel cancer, generally median life expectancy is now really good. It's something like 23 months or something. Unfortunately, if people have stage 4 bowel cancer, and about 5% of people it spreads to the peritoneum where I've got it, that drops your life expectancy down to about 7 to 9 months. 7 to 9 months from when the tumour is found. My tumour was found in July, so that would be almost 2.5 months ago now. So potentially looking at this, a 5 to 7 months life expectancy from the time of recording of this video. I'm young, so there are reasons why I might live longer than that. Those numbers are very, very rough. They include people who couldn't have any kind of treatment at all, who were actually too sick for chemo, for example. Another number you often hear about is a 5-year prognosis. The reason they use 5-year prognosis is because they found that it's a pretty robust, reliable number. It's always 5 years out of date, which is a good thing. So it means when you hear that, I don't know, let's just make up a number, let's say stage 3 bowel cancer, 5-year prognosis, so the chance of living 5 years is probably about 50% or something like that. So about half the people from 2011 who had stage 4 bowel cancer, they're still alive now. Now people who have stage 4 bowel cancer found this year, especially if you're in a country with modern science-based medicine like Japan, they can't obviously predict the 5-year, and they can't give a 5-year prognosis because they need to measure that in the next 5 years. But it will almost certainly be higher than the people who had it in 2011. So let's say it was 50% chance if you got stage 3 bowel cancer, you might have a 50% chance of living 5 years, and now it might be a 55% chance. So that's really how kind of prognosis works. Generally, it is my understanding that doctors are quite wary about talking about these numbers because they are very arbitrary, and some people live far beyond the prognosis. And also they typically are going to give it a bracket anyway. They'll say, like, if it is a really bad situation, they might say, we'd expect you to maybe live 3 to 6 months from now, or whatever. So when you hear these people on the web saying, I was told I had a month to live, and then I went and sat in a hot spring for a month, and now I'm perfectly fine, they're mistaken, because usually they wouldn't be told they've got a month to live. You know, I can now see through this kind of stuff very easily because I've spoken to lots and lots and lots and lots of doctors and read lots and lots of papers about cancer, and I know the sort of things people say and what they don't say. So thank you for listening. As always, if you can, visit my fundraising page, www.matthewdons.org, and if you can leave a donation, that is if you can make a donation, that's a huge, huge help, because this connects in my life quite a bit. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.